Listen, a lot of people have no idea what's about to hit the stock market. The U.S. government is gearing up to buy and back a fresh round of companies. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss one of the biggest wealth waves of this cycle. President Trump has already made it clear all year long that the administration is willing to step directly into the private sector, take equity stakes, and hand out exemptions to companies it considers strategically important. And whenever Uncle Sam decides a company matters, that company gets a moat you cannot compete with, and usually a monster rally right behind it. So here's the deal. The next wave is getting ready to drop, and if you're early, you catch the upside. If you're late, you become the liquidity for everyone who positioned ahead of you. So today, we're breaking down exactly what's happening, which sectors are on the government's radar, which specific companies might be next in line, and how traders are playing these moves. And after that, we're going to take a closer look at today's sponsor, Knightscope, ticker KSCP company, building autonomous AI-powered security robots that cost less than minimum wage to operate. This is a real publicly traded company, and the mission behind it is pretty simple. Make America safer with machines. Now, before we get into any names or sectors, remember, if you're the one taking the ultimate risk, you have to be the one doing the ultimate frisk. Always do your own due diligence. All right, let's talk about what's going on. Yesterday, the Financial Times reported that deal makers on Wall Street are preparing for even more White House involvement in corporate America. And honestly, if you've been watching this administration, this shouldn't surprise you. This is the same White House that took a 10% stake in Intel. They grabbed 15% of MP, Materials Plus profit sharing 5% of Lithium Americas, 10% of Trilogy Metals with warrants, and they even secured a golden share in U.S. Steel. That's not passive, that's aggressive. And those are just the headline stakes. There are CHIPS Act grants, equity conversions, revenue sharing deals with Nvidia and AMD, DPA loans with warrants, tariff-driven reshoring deals, and more. When you zoom out, the pattern becomes really obvious. The government is building a portfolio, and when the government backs a company, traders rush in. And yes, these stocks follow a predictable pattern. First, you get the anticipatory run. Rumors start leaking out. The stock slowly creeps up. Insiders position early. Then comes the announcement. Boom. Phase 2. The pop. Retail piles in. CNBC runs the segment. Twitter goes crazy. Trilogy Metals literally doubled overnight when the news dropped. Then Phase 3. Profit-taking. The fast money cashes out. The chart pulls back. Phase 4. Bottoming. The stock finds support. Smart money starts accumulating. And Phase 5 is the build, the new base created by the government's backing. If you don't understand these 5 phases, you're basically trading blindfolded. Chase Phase 2, and you're the exit liquidity. Wait for Phase 4, and you get the value entry. And if you're long-term, cool. Just know you're riding a cycle with real volatility. Now here's where things get really interesting. Robotics. Based on the language coming out of Commerce Secretary Lutnick, robotics, and specifically humanoid robotics, could be one of the next major government-backed sectors. Politico reported that an executive order on humanoid robotics is actively being prepared. At the same time, Morgan Stanley dropped a 77-page report projecting nearly 1 billion humanoid robots in the long run. That's 1 robot for every 10 humans. And each robot? About $2,100 worth of semiconductor content. That is insane. And Secretary Lutnick basically confirmed the thesis, saying the government is all in on robotics and advanced manufacturing. And honestly, the economics explain why. Today, a humanoid robot costs around $68,000 to build. By 2030, closer to $40,000, cheaper than a year of minimum wage labor. They operate for $2, $6 an hour. They don't get tired, they don't call in sick, and they don't quit. No emotions, no excuses, no PTO requests. Just non-stop output. And the crazy part? There are hundreds of robotics startups forming, but only a handful of public companies that sit in a position the government could realistically back. Tesla with Optimus, the moonshot humanoid. Serve Robotics, last-mile delivery, backed by Uber and Nvidia. Rick Robotics, service and hospitality robots. And Paradigm Tier, the picks and shovels play with Amazon exposure. Then you've got the chip companies. Robots need brains. And those brains come from Nvidia, AMD, Qualcomm, and TSMC. Nvidia powers the AI backbone. AMD offers more affordable alternatives. Qualcomm rules edge computing, and TSMC manufactures almost everything. If robots scale the way Morgan Stanley thinks, chip demand is going to be wild. But robotics isn't the only sector the government is circling. Nuclear energy is becoming the backbone of the AI revolution. Data centers are the new factories, and they require absurd amounts of power. AI alone will need 50 gigawatts of new capacity by 2030. That's why the administration has signed multiple executive orders to accelerate nuclear build-out and quadruple U.S. nuclear capacity by 2050. Tech giants are already moving. Microsoft is restarting nuclear plants with Constellation Energy. Amazon signed a nearly 2 gigawatt nuclear deal. Google is exploring small modular reactors. Meta is securing nuclear capacity. Oracle has massive fuel cell deployments. Even Nvidia's CEO went on Joe Rogan and said nuclear is essential for AI. And the market winners? Constellation Energy, Vistra, Cameco, NuScale Power, Oklo, Centrus Energy, Terrestrial Energy. These names have serious tailwinds behind them. So how do you play all this? Start by following the government's money. Watch for rumors, watch for press releases, follow Commerce Secretary announcements. When the government shows interest in a sector, the whole sector usually moves. Think in layers, direct beneficiaries, adjacent plays, and broad ETFs. And please have an exit strategy. Whether you're trading the rumor or holding for the long term, know when you're taking profits. And now, let's talk about today's sponsor, Knightscope, ticker KSCP. This company is building fully autonomous security robots that cost less than minimum wage to operate. And look, the security industry is a mess right now. Guard turnover is 100% to 400% a year. Companies are basically rebuilding their entire security staff every few months. Cameras help, but they're passive. They record crimes. They don't stop them. Knightscope fills that gap with robots that patrol 24/7. Thermal imaging, license plate recognition, people detection, rogue signal detection, all feeding real-time alerts to security teams. And they do it for around $10 an hour. They have a full lineup: the K5 outdoor robot, the K1 towers, emergency communication systems, cloud monitoring dashboards, and now the K7, a heavy-duty multi-terrain robot designed for massive industrial sites, logistics yards, and critical infrastructure. And the K7 isn't sci-fi, it's real American-built, and deployment begins in 2026. Knightscope isn't just robots. They also operate an entire emergency communications division used in government buildings, airports, hospitals, universities. Real revenue, real deployments, real utility. And now they're working on something even bigger, the Knightscope Autonomous Security Force. Humans, robots, sensors, AI, and 24/7 monitoring, all under one unified system. Think of it like Physical Security 2.0, a recurring revenue model built for a $230 billion market. Of course, you should always do your own due diligence. This is a speculative company, so dig into their filings, check their financials, and make sure it fits your risk profile. So that's the full breakdown. The government is getting ready to make more strategic moves. Robotics is on the edge of a massive breakthrough. Nuclear is about to be the backbone of AI. And companies like Knightscope are building tech that feels like it's straight out of the future, but it's happening right now. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.